In Italy, power doesn't live inside parliament. It lives inside a last name. A family so deeply wired into the country's economy that when they move, Italy moves. They own Ferrari, Maserati, Jeep, Chrysler. They hold influence over Italy's biggest bank. Their companies employ hundreds of thousands. Millions know Ferrari, but only a few know the family who treats Ferrari like just another asset in their empire. One signature could move the stock market. One meeting could rewrite Italy's future. And one family could do it without ever stepping into parliament. This is the story of the Agnelli dynasty, the family that has quietly shaped Italy for over a century. A family whose signature is stamped on Italian cars, Italian culture, and Italian power itself. Imagine one surname controlling 30% of a nation's stock market. Imagine a single family deciding whether factories open or collapse. Imagine an empire so massive that governments negotiate, not command. That is the Agnellis. Not just Italy's Rockefellers. They are Italy's economic bloodstream. To understand how one dynasty reached that throne, we need to go back to where it all began. A workshop, 35 workers, and a country that didn't even have roads yet. Italy, 1899. The nation was young, poor, and industrially crawling. While most dreamed small, Giovanni Agnelli dreamed engines. He builds a company called FIAT, and overnight, the future of Italy changes. The first year, just 24 cars. Tiny, but revolutionary. Giovanni isn't just building automobiles. He's building an industry that doesn't exist yet. Soon factories multiply, workers line up, and Italy steps into the age of machines. By the 1920s, Fiat isn't a car company anymore. It's Italy's beating heart. They didn't just build cars. They built dependence. When Fiat slowed production, whole cities starved. When Fiat expanded, cities were born overnight. This wasn't a company. It was the spine of a nation. Then comes World War I. Giovanni makes the move that shapes generations. He turns factories into war engines. Tanks, trucks, aircraft motors. Italy fights with Fiat steel. Money pours in. Critics scream war profiteering. So Giovanni does what powerful men do. He protects himself using politicians, not soldiers. First he supports Mussolini. Then, when the tides shift, he praises the Allies. His loyalty isn't to nations, it's to survival. And he survives. After the war, leadership passes to Giovanni's grandson, Gianni Agnelli. Charismatic, fearless, visionary. He doesn't just make Fiat bigger, he makes it global. He partners with the Soviet Union during the Cold War. He acquires Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, Maserati. He builds factories from South America to Eastern Europe. At Fiat's peak, 1 in every 5 Italian factory workers was tied to them. Entire cities depended on the Agnelli paycheck. This wasn't a company anymore. This was a parallel government. This wasn't wealth. This was leverage. The kind of leverage where ministers listen, not because they respect you, but because they can't afford to oppose you. But the smartest move wasn't cars. It was control of information. The family begins buying newspapers, entire media networks, radio stations, and eventually even a stake in The Economist. When you influence what people read, you influence how they think. And when you influence how they think, you influence how they vote. They didn't need to silence critics. They just bought the platforms critics spoke from. In Italy, truth wasn't free. It had an owner, and the owner was Agnelli. Control the media, shape the narrative, write the future. That was the Agnelli blueprint. Today, leadership sits with John Elkann, quiet, calculated, rarely seen, always present. He doesn't chase cameras. He builds the systems behind them. Invisible power, the most dangerous kind. When John walks into a room, deals don't get discussed. They get decided. Their holding company Exor owns pieces of global giants. Tech, healthcare, motorsport, data companies, football clubs. They don't just build engines anymore. They build influence, data, opinion, policy. When laws in Europe shift, when industries rise or collapse, The Agnellis often know first, because they're in the rooms where decisions are born. Europe calls itself democratic. But dynasties like the Agnellis never needed a ballot box. Power passed through blood, not votes. Boardrooms, not elections. Italy votes every 5 years. The Agnellis haven't needed to vote in 100. Their power doesn't reset. It compounds. So the question remains, is Italy shaped by democracy or by a family that never stopped ruling? Maybe Italy is a democracy, or maybe it's a dynasty wearing democracy like a mask. Not ruled by politicians, ruled by a surname. If you watched till the end, drop a emoji in the comments. I want to see how many of you stayed for the whole story. And if you're curious about another dynasty shaping Europe in silence, our next video will shock you.